Hello everyone, we are here to do council chat. I am Councilman Marty Grossman. I am here today with our Fire Chief, Scott Freitag, from Central Arizona Fire and Medical Authority, which is a mouthful. Yeah. I have a whole bunch of stuff to talk with Scott about today, but we're going to start off talking about the wildland fire protection, preparations, predictions. You know, what do you see this year I mean, with everything that's going on, how do you see this year's situation with the fire?
So the first thing we want to look at is we've had a lot of moisture over the summer, which means we have a lot of the fine fuels that have grown up. And we seem to have flipped a switch from winter to summer. So the temperatures are rising, the wind's coming up, things are drying out. And because of the COVID situation, we have a lot more people camping in our forests. What we know typically is that about 50% of the wildfires every year are human caused. So what we need to do is really drive home the point that we need folks who are out to take additional precautions. We say it every year: be careful with your campfires, be careful with your barbecue grills, make sure your chains aren't dragging the ground. This year, we really need people to heed those warnings.
Yeah, I know just based on my backyard and the grasses and weeds that have been growing there, I know they just flourished. I mean, if I wouldn't cut them down, I mean, they'd be this high already. But now with everything, with the wind and the summer heat, like you said, that all dries out and that becomes a fire hazard around our homes. What can our citizens do to mitigate the situation around their homes? Is there a number they could call to get maybe somebody come out to look at things? Is there a what's the citizenry allowed to do, and can they do?
Sure. The first thing you can do is call 928-772-7711, which is our office number, and they'll put you in contact with our fire prevention division, and they can schedule a time to come out and assess your home. The general ideas that we give people are to make sure that you keep the brush back from your house. Make sure you cut it down nice and short. What we saw on the fire a couple of years ago that ran out through the prairie by Viewpoint was that those homes who had shorter grasses, the fire didn't necessarily move up towards their homes. It stayed in the taller grasses and moved away from their property. So anything you can do to minimize the amount of fuel you have up close to your home, the better off you're going to be.
I know in the past we've had people from your fire department, either yourself or Rick Chase or some of the other captains, coming out and doing Firewise talks. Are you going to be doing those again this year? We
absolutely will. Right now a lot of folks aren't meeting in large groups, so we haven't done any of that. Normally we would. But we are open to invitations from groups who would like us to come out and talk. We could also do a Zoom meeting. If a neighborhood wanted to put together a Zoom online meeting, we would certainly take part in that and provide additional information.
Yeah, Zoom is awesome. I've had several meetings. My singles group, you know, we do Zoom virtual happy hours, you know, so it's always fun. It's a great format, and it's very easy to use, and it's free.
Yes.
To most people. Anyway, okay, so people could call your fire department to have somebody come out and assess their house. People need to be more careful and clear 30 feet from their house to make sure that that's the Firewise zone that we're using.
Right.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so, we've mentioned COVID-19 a couple of times. What new procedures do you use with your fire department? Have you implemented to deal with it? Are you getting more 911 calls from medical, but they don't want to go to the hospital even though you think that they should? Are you getting that?
So a couple of things. First and foremost, we had a disease control policy put in place several years ago with H1N1, SARS, Ebola, and anytime we have something like this come out, a new virus, whatever it is, we measure that policy against the virus that's out there. And we did that again this time and found that our policy was sound and it would work and fit for responding to COVID-19 related calls. We still had all of our personal protective equipment, PPE. We did feel that we could run short on the N95 masks, and so we found some directions online from MIT, and based on a University of Nebraska study, we built 2 UV light boxes so that our crews can come back. They can put their N95 masks in one of these UV light boxes, and it will decontaminate the mask. And it was very inexpensive for us to do, and that's worked out well. We're reinforcing with our folks to ensure that they are wearing the proper PPE when they go on the calls. And what's helping that is 2 things. One, our dispatchers with the Prescott Regional Communications Center are doing an outstanding job at asking questions when somebody calls in with flu-like symptoms. And then they transfer them to what we call a 24-hour medic. Both Prescott and CAFMA have 24-hour medics on duty. And what happens is, if it's a critical call, the dispatcher will ask the questions and go ahead and respond to the emergency units. If it's non-critical, they'll transfer the call directly to the 24-hour medic, who's working in partnership with YRMC. So they're assessing the patient further and helping decide where that patient needs to go. And sometimes that means calling the hospital to say, here's the patient, here's what they're presenting with, and the hospital will make a determination as to where they should go and how they should get there. That's worked out very well for us and gives our crews a feeling of comfort. One of the other things that we're doing is we're doing doorway assessments. So instead of sending the entire crew in like we normally would, they'll get to the call, they'll have one person in full PPE go to the door, ask if anyone in the home is sick, and then we will bring people in as necessary to treat the patient and get them outside. So it's worked really well. As far as our other operations, we're on a modified business as usual type schedule.
I've seen in some news reports, more specifically from New York City, where they have procedures that after every call, the fireman's gear is sanitized after every call. Do you have a system for that, or have you implemented something for that?
We do. At the end of each call, each individual that was in contact with the patient is decontaminated. There's a particular way that they doff or take off their gear, whatever the PPE is, so that it's protected and we're not getting cross-contamination. And we do the same thing. So if the police department responds with us on a call and they have their PPE on, we'll assist them through decon and taking their PPE so that the police department doesn't have to try to figure out what to do with the biohazard.
That's great. Good to hear that. Which brings me to, I know this year, I think it was last week or whatever, we were supposed to have the Fire Ops 101.
Yes.
And this year you weren't able to do that because of the COVID-19. Are you planning on rescheduling that at a future date? We're
going to plan on that for April. Right now there are so many things up in the air for the remainder of the year that we figure it's best to go through until let everything ride out through next April, and then we'll have Fire Ops 101 again. All of those who received invitations this year will receive invitations again next year, and hopefully their schedules will work out.
Yeah, having gone through that program, it's really, I think it's important that people are aware of it and people either watch it, view it firsthand to see what everybody's going through, or they actually experience it. Putting on all that equipment and going through the 4 different drills is very eye-opening. It gives me it gave me a whole new respect for what you guys do. I knew you had a tough job, I just didn't know how tough. So it's good to know that you're going to continue that for next year. Unfortunately, you're not doing it this year. What are some of the other events that are being canceled this year? And the reason I bring it up is, let's say the Firefighter Angel, the pancake breakfast.
Right.
Okay, they collect donations during that period. I mean, people are buying, the T-shirts and the hats and, all the other paraphernalia, and they go there and they pay for a pancake breakfast, and all the money goes to a worthy cause. I forget which one it is, but the Firefighter Angel program. And I just is it going to be postponed? And how could somebody make a donation because we didn't have it this year?
So you can go on the Facebook page for the Firefighter Angel Foundation, and you'll be able to contact them through Facebook to make a donation to them. All of the proceeds from the events that they normally have leading up to when children go back to school, and then the Christmas time, the deliveries that we make, all of the proceeds from these other events go to cover backpacks for kids before they start school. It goes for the Christmas gifts and the food that we bring to kids and their families during the holidays. So if you have the chance to go to the Facebook page and look up Firefighter Angel Foundation and make donations directly to them, that would be very helpful. All of the money stays and goes right back into our communities, which is important. We've had to cancel our Senior Leadership Academy right now because we've had too many of the other agencies in the state had to pull out of the program. I'm currently the president of the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association.
And I knew that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We had to cancel our July conference. Now, we didn't cancel it because of the virus. Our concern is the economic impact from the lockdown. And we didn't feel that we would be able to get the participation from fire chiefs across the state because so many of their budgets are being cut and frozen. So we had to cancel that, which is a big deal, but probably the best financial move we could make for the organization right now. As for CAFMA, we plan to start opening things back up in the next few weeks and get back to normal operations.
Well, that's really good to hear. Hopefully they're going to be going back and they're going to be able to establish everything that they were doing prior to the
Yes.
COVID-19 experience. Are you asking or are you getting the antibody testing for your firefighters and for each of the departments? You know, do you have your own kits or are you asking your firefighters to go through the testing that they did this past weekend and the next 2 weekends? Unfortunately,
the antibody tests aren't as available as we'd like them to be. Some of our folks were going through some antibody tests being offered at a place in Prescott. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about the background of those tests. They're not FDA approved, and they're only marginally accurate. So we are working with the University of Arizona, Dr. Jeff Burgess, to see about getting antibody tests for our firefighters, just to see who's been exposed to it, who's had it. But it's tricky. We don't really know, even if you have the antibodies, are you immune? Those things, there's not answers to that. What we do know is that 98 to 99% of the people recover without issue. And so we're focused more on that. I think moving forward, as we look at the next cold flu and what I believe will be the next cold flu and COVID season, you'll probably see our personnel wearing the surgical masks a little bit more, or the N95 mask, depending on the type of call, because we tend to get into very close spaces and very close to people.
Yeah. I know we're coming to the end of this session, but I really want to make sure that everybody has access to the information that I have. You could go to the CAFMA website, which is CAZFire, CAZFIRE.org. A lot of the information is there. Real quick, the review is something that started out as an internal newsletter. Now you publish it weekly on a Friday,
Yes.
And it goes out to the public. It's on the CAFMA Facebook page and the website. So we come now to to the end of our council chat. I wish we had more time. There's always good. We're going to exit now, and we'll come back with Marnie Uhl from the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Why should I care about the 2020 census?
Every 10 years, the census counts everyone living in the U.S.
Count everyone living with you.
Even kids!
Our numbers help shape funding and services.
For all these things.
That's a lot of stuff.
Your responses are safe and secure.
No matter who you are or where you're from.
We have reasons to care. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Welcome back, everybody. I have with me right now the CEO and President of the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce, Marnie Uhl, a good friend, and we've had so many interactions over the years. This whole COVID-19 has just totally turned everything upside down. Just quickly, the Prescott Valley Chamber are the eyes and ears of our business community. And
we try to be.
And everybody on staff, I mean, they do a great job of promoting it. You, though, are the single biggest cheerleader for our business community. How has the COVID-19 affected how you do business on a daily basis?
Very interesting. Well, back in March, I think it was, that when things started looking like they were starting to fall apart a little bit, and what are we doing? And basically, I follow the governor's lead. As do most of us, looking at what is happening and keeping on top of the news. We've had a very good partnership with Yavapai College SBDC and Jerry Denniston over there, who's kept us aboard on what's funding opportunities once businesses were starting to close. So once we had that close order, then it was looking like, my gosh, business has to close. It's coming to a screeching halt. And how do we help them? And what the best thing we found to be is to communicate, to pull all of our resources and communicate to our members, to our community at large, what the options, resources, and information are out there, because it's so confusing. And in the early days, it changed daily. We'd say one day this loan's available, and then it's not, and then it was changed, and it was a 6-page document, and it's a 2-page document, and we were getting all that information. So we immediately, and through a lot of chambers, we have a very strong network of sharing. And some other chambers come up with these different ideas, and I was looking what's the best way that works for our community, because based on our size and our location, we're different than maybe a metro area or someone even more rural than us. And we decided we put a web page together, and we called it Prescott Valley Together.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a great program.
Thank you. We developed that. Brady stayed home one day and just worked on it all day, and we took all the information we were receiving, and then we put it on that web page under town services. So if you're looking at what's going on with the town of Prescott Valley, it was there. SBDC, SBA, the governor's office, the Arizona Commerce Authority. So we had all these, the health department, Yavapai County Health Department. So we had all these little clicks. You could go directly to that website and find out from that web page. And then it was Prescott Valley Chamber, pvchamber.org/COVID-19, or we just call it Prescott Valley Together, PVT, which was one of the things. And we also started, we do a weekly e-flash.
Yeah,
So we started doing that twice a week because the information was coming at us so fast. And so many organizations were putting webinars on and informational pieces, so updates on COVID-19 from the governor's office. So we started doing that twice a week and sending that out.
If somebody wants to get the e-flash, how do they do that?
All they have to do is call us at the office or mail me your email, Marnie@pvchamber.org. That's MARNIE at pvchamber.org, or call us 772-8857. Back in the beginning, because of the unknown and the social distancing, the physical distancing, and we didn't know what the exposures were, I put my staff on staggered shifts. So they would be working, but they would be working independent of each other, not coming into contact.
And you basically closed your lobby for visitations, but you're still there during Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever.
8 to 4:30. I was there every day.
Yeah.
So I'm back in my office. It's on the I call it the Dunkin' Donuts side of the building, but Suite 105. And I been there every day because I felt that people needed to have a real person answer the phone and not get back to them. And in many cases, I made some wonderful new friends. I've had people call, and Madeline, who was desperate to find toilet paper, and I was trying to help her out, and actually found some. I had another gentleman that was worried about filling out his census because the library is closed, so his neighbor offered to let him use it, and he was concerned that he couldn't do it on somebody else's computer. And I said, explain to him that you have your own number, and he was able. So I've been able to help businesses with information. A lot of the loan information, we have that every single day from SBDC, updates on when those changes. I've been able to fax and email that information. So I've been there every day. Yeah. There's been and somebody wanted to stop by. We were there open for appointment. We just social distanced, we just
like I said,
guidelines.
The chamber is the eyes and ears of our business community and of our citizens. I mean, because there's a lot of good information that you guys provide. I mean, you know what's going. You are the heart of our community. You know what's going on.
Well, I appreciate that, and part of it is probably just I was always, as a little girl, my mom always called me a busybody. Like, what are you doing? What's going on? What am I missing? I'm probably still that way as an adult now. What's going on? What do I need to share? What's happening?
Sounds like a title we gave my brother. We used to call him the mayor of the community. Okay, still staying on the subject for a second. The Paycheck Protection Program, it's in the news a lot.
Right.
It's called PPP. I get a financial newsletter email every morning. And this morning they were saying that there might be a third round of funding for the Paycheck Protection Program.
Yes.
And it could be as high as $600 million, $1 billion total. So it's how much, based on information you have, how much of our business community has applied and been accepted, and how many are still waiting?
We're still working on those numbers.
Okay.
Because a lot of them are hesitant to say, but SBDC is actually doing a survey on numbers, and so we're still finding out. I know of about 10, just off the top of my head. Yes, I understand there's a third round. I understand that there was some money still in this one. It didn't go as fast as the first one. The first one was like, it just went out.
Yeah,
and it was gone.
In 2 days, it was gone.
It was gone. And so then the second round came out, and they said, now apply now. But I say, apply now. Apply, get in the queue. Go with your lender, get with your banker. I had this conversation. It is there's a forgivable part of it.
Do they get an account number type of thing? Or
you work with your own banker. So if you have a business relationship with a banker, go to them. But then there's also banks like Foothills Bank that will take non-customers, but you have to sign up to be the customer and develop a relationship with them. And several banks are doing that. Okay. But talk to your lender, but you just go on the website, and I don't remember what it was because it's through your bank. And you fill out the form, and you get in the queue. So they review it, and then they send it on to SBA, and then the funding comes.
Is that information available on the Chamber website?
Yes, it is. It's also available by calling me, and it's most all businesses, even if you are a one employee business, let's say, independent contractors, the 1099s, they have to do it on their own. Let's say I hire and I have independent contractors. I can't count them as employees. They have to do it on their own. But I can be an employee. Right. As the business owner. So therefore, if I collect a paycheck, so you take your last year's payroll, divide it by 12, and then you multiply it 2.5.
Most businesses that are set up as an LLC, even though you're the owner, you're also an employee, and you generate a paycheck.
Right. Any questions? I would say Yavapai College SBDC is amazing. They know this stuff inside and out. I'm on conference calls with them twice a week, updating us on the information so that we're giving correct information also. So again, if you haven't, go ahead and apply for this, the Payroll Protection Plan. It is a loan, but it's forgivable if it's used for payroll and utilities, rents, mortgages, leases, that kind of thing for space. So, and then, of course, as anything, you got to dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure that you're accountable for that money as you're using it the way it should be. Otherwise, it is a loan, and it's 1% interest.
There are
2 years, no prepayment. But
there are some conditions, but they're fairly easy. I mean, it's what you're supposed to use it for, and that's great.
Right.
Okay. Some of the things that the Chamber is also doing is, on a regular basis, they're printing out the list of the restaurants that we're doing curbside pickup and deliveries, and I thought that was so great that you're providing this. I mean, there's a lot of others that are out there and they're doing it, but just the fact that you're promoting the restaurants and letting everybody know this is who's doing this. You know, and again, the small businesses, we have to support them. And you know, they're not making the kind of money that they're supposed to be making. I mean, at the beginning of the year, our economy was just taking off, and all of a sudden, it fell off a cliff. And we have to support our local businesses. We don't want to see anybody going out of businesses. If you can't, and the message is going out there, you know, if you can't go and order a dinner, at least buy a gift card to that restaurant.
Oh, absolutely. And we started off with that list, and it is amazing how many restaurants we have in Prescott Valley, because we started off with all of them and we're driving up and down thinking of them all, and then we get notices saying, oh, you missed so-and-so, so we add that one and updated and add that one and updated. We did not put our regular drive-through restaurants on there because they particularly are already takeout.
And a lot of them are national chains.
Right.
And, you know, they don't need more advertising than they're getting. But the small businesses,
absolutely.
you know.
Mother's Day, you know.
And then some of the small businesses, they started setting up mini marts. So they had access to stuff that the supermarkets were out of, and they're able to sell. Yeah, it might be $1 or $2 more expensive, but it's there and it's available.
But by the same token, in some cases, it's not that much more expensive. And I have found toilet paper in other places besides having to go to my local supermarket.
I know. I've seen that. You know, on Nextdoor, there's always you know, there's always that one message. Okay, I'm running out of toilet paper. Where could I go? Who has it? You know, or you know, somebody are posting. You know, yeah, Fry's had it today, or you know, Safeway had it today, or yeah, you know. So it's funny that the call is going out for toilet paper and tissues and other necessities such as that.
Well, if I could say one thing that's so important getting through this is communication, because there's so much information out there. Go to a source. Go to somebody that you know might have the real answers. And ask them, because it's going to take a while. Public confidence is that's going to drive the economy. That once the public's confident getting back out and doing the things they were used to doing, but that's going to take a little bit of time. No matter what a phased-in approach is, it's what each and every one of us feel comfortable with doing.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up to the end of the time. I wish we had another half hour to talk about this, because we could easily go on. But something else I want to talk about is you had a couple of events that have either been postponed or canceled. Which ones are postponed? Those are the ones that, if they're coming up, I know Team Up to Clean Up is coming September 26th.
Yes, we will be cleaning up the streets September 26th. Prescott Valley Days has been tentatively moved to July 24th and 25th, along with Rhythm and Brews added to that piece of it. That's because, so those two are going.
Yeah, all right, I got to cut you off. I'm sorry I do. But we're coming to the end of another council chat session. I certainly wish I had more time. Thank you so much for being the eyes and ears of our business community and our biggest cheerleader for our business.
Shop local, support local, stay local. That's what we're saying right now.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And again, this is our latest version of Council Chat. I am Councilman Marty Grossman, and I look forward to doing this in the future. And thank you very much for being here, Marnie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.